How did one family meet-up end with a court officer calling my husband's name in a public lobby? Why did the papers say the child I called ours would face a legal DNA process starting that day? I stood there smiling for strangers, while my own story collapsed in my hands. My name is Calantha Reed, and I always said my life looked normal from the outside. I had a clean kitchen, a child with bright shoes by the door, and a husband who paid bills on time. People liked that picture. I liked it too. I just did not like how small it felt inside. Ethan used to watch me like he was reading a sign. He asked where I went after work. I said I had errands. He asked why my phone stayed face down. I said I was tired of messages. He asked why I came home with a different perfume smell. I said it was hand soap from the clinic. I said these things like they were facts. I needed them to be facts. The truth was not romantic. It was mostly boring. It was me feeling seen by someone else and then acting like that feeling was a right. I told myself I did not cheat to hurt Ethan. I said I cheated because Ethan stopped noticing me. I said I cheated because I was lonely. I said I cheated because I was still young. In my head, all of those reasons sounded clean. That Monday started like many others. Avery sat at the table and pushed cereal around the bowl. Ethan asked if Avery wanted apples in the lunchbox. Avery nodded without looking up. Ethan asked me if I could pick Avery up after school. I said I would try. I already knew I would not try. I had my own plan. Ethan noticed my calendar app was open while I pretended to check the weather. A reminder sat there with a place name and a time, like Riverside, 4:20 p.m. He asked what it was. I said it was a work note. He asked why it was not on the shared family calendar. I said I did not want to bother him with my schedule. He watched me for a long second, then he turned to rinse a cup. The kitchen felt too quiet. 2 mugs sat on the counter, but not close. Mine was near the sink. His was near the stove. I noticed that detail and hated it. It made it look like he was already separating us, even though I was the one who had started it. At the clinic, I acted like everything was fine. I filed charts and answered calls. I smiled at patients and said their next appointment time in a bright voice. My coworker asked if I was okay. I said I had a busy week. When I took my break, I went out to the parking lot and sat in my car. My phone showed a message from Colin Mercer. The preview line said he wanted to see me soon. I felt a warm rush, like I had a secret engine inside my chest. I told myself it was love, but it was really control. With Colin, I could decide when I was wanted. With Ethan, I felt judged even when he said nothing. Colin and I had history. I like saying that word because it made my choices sound serious. It was not serious. It was a long time ago. Then it was a short time ago. Then it was now. Colin asked when I could meet. I said after work. He asked if I missed him. I said I did. He asked if Ethan knew. I said Ethan was dramatic. I always used that word for Ethan. It made him sound like the problem, even when he was calm. I went back inside and forced myself to be normal. I opened a folder on the clinic computer labeled Utilities and dropped a few scanned forms in it. The folder name was Boring on purpose. I liked boring names. Boring names helped me hide. Later, I came home and found Ethan in the living room, sorting mail into small piles. One pile had bank written on a sticky note. I asked what he was doing. He said he was organizing. I asked why he suddenly cared. He said he wanted to make sure nothing got missed. I felt a small sting. I told myself he was doing it to make me feel guilty. Avery ran in and hugged my legs. Avery asked if we could go to the park soon. I said yes. Ethan looked up fast. He asked why Avery kept asking about the park. I said it was just a kid thing. Avery said a man at the park had nice shoes. Ethan's face changed for a moment, like a light went off behind his eyes. He asked who the man was. I said I did not know. That night, my sister Naomi called. She asked how things were with Ethan. I said he was getting controlling. Naomi said I should not let him act like my boss. Naomi asked if I still talked to Colin. I said yes. Naomi said I deserved to feel alive. Naomi always spoke like my choices were brave. It made it easy to keep going. I also called my friend Talia. Talia asked if Ethan was still being weird. I said yes. Talia said men like Ethan only respected strength. Talia asked if I wanted to come out later. I said I might. I liked how Talia never asked if I was wrong. She only asked what I wanted. Ethan did not raise his voice that night. He asked if I could sit with him for 10 minutes. I said I was too tired. He asked if I was seeing someone. I laughed and asked if he wanted to sound ridiculous. He said he was not trying to fight. He said he only wanted the truth. I said the truth was that he pushed me away for years. I said I was not his property. I said he needed therapy. He did not react like I wanted. He nodded once and looked down. He picked up his phone, then put it down again. A soft beep came from somewhere, like an app starting, but I did not see the screen. I told myself I imagined it. I did not want to believe he was recording anything. I wanted to believe I still controlled the story. When he went upstairs, I stayed in the kitchen and scrolled through my messages. Colin asked if I could bring Avery sometime. He said it would be good for Avery to know him. He said it would be honest. I felt my stomach tighten, but I also felt a sharp excitement. It sounded bold. It sounded like a win. I typed back that it could happen soon. I told myself I was doing something real, not something dirty. I told myself Ethan would accept it if he was mature. I told myself Avery would be fine because Avery was young. I told myself a lot of things. Then, I heard the front door close softly, even though it was late. I looked out the window and saw Ethan in the driveway, standing by the car like he forgot why he went there. His car was pointed toward the street, not tucked in like usual. He stood still for a long time. Then he came back inside without looking at me. I woke up the next day and acted like nothing happened. I moved through the house like I owned the air. Ethan made coffee and did not offer me a cup. He asked if I slept okay. I said I slept fine. He asked if we could talk later. I said we already talked too much. I said he should focus on being a better husband instead of being a detective. At the clinic, my mood felt sharp. I did my tasks fast. I liked the feeling of being needed by strangers. A patient thanked me for finding a better appointment time. I smiled and said it was no problem. Then I checked my phone and saw a missed call with no caller ID. I told myself it was spam. Still, my stomach turned. I did not like mystery when I was not the one creating it. By lunchtime, Naomi texted me about a family dinner. She said Mom wanted everyone at the Long Table place downtown. She said it would be good to show Ethan he could not ruin the mood. I read that and felt comforted. Naomi always spoke like my marriage was a stage, and I was the main character. I went home before dinner and changed clothes in the bedroom. Ethan stood in the doorway and asked if I could keep it calm tonight. I asked why he was already complaining. He said he was not complaining. He said he wanted Avery to feel safe around family. I said Avery felt safe because I worked hard to keep it that way. I said Ethan was the one making the home tense. Avery ran in and asked if we could sit next to Grandma. I said yes and fixed Avery's collar. Ethan watched me for a moment, like he wanted to say something else. He asked if we could agree not to argue in front of everyone. I said he should not give me reasons to argue. The restaurant was loud, bright, and full of faces. The long table waited like a test. My mother, Maris, hugged me and asked how work was. I said work was busy. She looked at Ethan and asked if he was helping enough. Ethan said he did his best. His answer sounded too careful, like he practiced it. Naomi arrived and started telling stories right away. She talked about her clients, her new phone, her plans. Then she turned to Ethan and asked if he was still monitoring my time. She asked it with a laugh, but it was a knife. Ethan asked what she meant. Naomi said he always acted like a guard. I said Naomi was just joking. I watched Ethan's mouth tighten and felt a small thrill. I wanted him to react. I wanted him to look bad. My father, Gerald, cleared his throat and asked if we could talk about something else. I said Dad always hated fun. Naomi laughed again. Talia showed up late and slid into a seat like she belonged there. She asked how the control problem was going. I said it was still annoying. Ethan asked what she meant by that. I said he liked to question me. I said it in a calm voice, like I was explaining a fact to a child. Ethan asked if we could please not do this in public. I said he was the one making it public by getting emotional. Naomi said Ethan acted insecure. Talia said a confident man would not worry so much. My mother nodded like she agreed, even though she did not say it out loud. I watched Ethan look from face to face and then down at his plate. He did not raise his voice. That made me mad. I pushed harder because I felt the power slipping. I told a story about how Ethan once asked me to text when I arrived somewhere. I said it was like I was reporting to a manager. I said it was exhausting. Naomi asked if he also checked my phone. I said he would if he could. Ethan asked when he ever checked my phone. I said the fact that he asked questions proved he wanted to. I knew it was twisted. I also knew it worked. Avery started coloring on the kids' menu. Avery asked why everyone was talking so loud. I said it was just grown-up talk. Ethan asked if we could leave early so Avery could sleep. I said he was trying to punish me by cutting the night short. Ruth Reed, Ethan's mother, arrived after dessert and leaned close to Avery. Ruth asked Avery if school was okay. Avery nodded. Ruth looked at me and asked if everything was stable at home. I said it was stable until people tried to control me. Ruth's eyes went cold, but she stayed polite. On the way out, Ethan held the door for everyone. Naomi whispered to me that he was putting on a show. I said he always did that. Ethan heard his name and asked what I said. I said nothing important. He nodded like he was storing the moment somewhere. After we dropped Avery at my mother's house, Talia invited me to a rooftop bar. She said I needed air and music. Ethan asked if we could all just go home. I told him he was not my father. He asked if I could please think about tomorrow and Avery's morning. I said he was using Avery to trap me at home. At the rooftop bar, the city lights made everything feel unreal. Naomi took photos. Talia filmed short clips. I stood close to them and smiled. I wanted people to see me as free. I posted a story with a line about choosing peace. I did not name Ethan, but the message was clear. Naomi asked if I wanted to add more. I said less was smarter. I liked being smart more than being honest. My phone buzzed and Colin's name lit up the screen. I turned my body away so Naomi could not see. Colin asked if I was out. I said yes. He asked if I missed him. I said I did. He asked if I could meet him soon. I said I had to manage things carefully because Ethan was watching. Colin said Ethan sounded weak. I agreed, even though I knew Ethan was not weak. He was quiet, and quiet was harder. When I got home, the house felt like a different place. Ethan was in the living room, sitting with a laptop open. A spreadsheet was on the screen, but I could not see the title. He closed it when I walked in. He asked if I had a good time. I said yes. He asked if posting about peace was meant to shame him. I said if he felt ashamed, that was his issue. He asked if there was someone else. I asked why he kept asking the same stupid question. He said he needed an answer. I said he needed to stop acting like a victim. I said he had a roof and a family, and he should be grateful. He looked at me for a long time and then stood up. He walked to a drawer in the hallway, and I heard a small click, like a lock. He took something out and put it in his pocket. He did not show me what it was. He asked if I was willing to talk tomorrow with calm rules. I said I would see. He nodded once and went to the guest room without slamming any door. I stayed in the kitchen and stared at my phone. I wanted to text Colin again, but my hands felt shaky. I told myself Ethan was overreacting. I told myself I was still in charge. Then I saw Ethan's car keys on the counter with a new key on the ring, and I felt a sudden fear that did not fit my story. The next afternoon, I picked Avery up from my mother's house and told myself I was doing something brave. I said the child deserved truth. I said the past was not a shameful thing. I also knew I liked the feeling of holding a secret over Ethan's head. On the way to the park, Avery asked where we were going. I said we were meeting a friend. Avery asked if Ethan was coming. I said Ethan was busy. Avery asked if the friend had snacks. I said maybe. I chose the playground with the wide paths and the benches where people could see everything. I told myself it was safer. I also knew it would look innocent if anyone asked. I parked close to the entrance, checked my hair in the mirror, and told myself I was a good mother. Colin was already there, standing near the climbing frame like he had a right to the space. He wore clean shoes and a neat jacket. He looked calm, like he did not carry any mess. That calm made me feel proud of my choice, like I had picked well. Avery ran ahead and stopped when Colin waved. Avery looked back at me like it was a question. I said Colin was a friend and he wanted to say hello. Colin crouched a little and asked Avery's name. Avery said it. Colin said it was a good name. Colin asked if Avery liked swings. Avery nodded. I stood behind them and watched like a director. I wanted a perfect first scene. I wanted Avery to smile. I wanted Colin to look gentle. I wanted the world to prove I was not doing harm. Colin asked if he could push the swing. I said yes. Avery laughed and asked for higher. Colin did not go too high. He acted careful. He asked what cartoons Avery liked. Avery told him. He asked what school was like. Avery said it was fine. He asked what Avery wanted to be. Avery said a firefighter. I felt my throat tighten, not from love, but from the power of it. It was like I could reorder real life by moving people into new places. Then Colin asked a question he should not have asked. He asked if Avery had ever seen pictures of him. Avery said no. Colin asked if Avery knew he was special. Avery asked why. Colin looked up at me like I owed him an answer. I smiled and said Colin was just happy to meet Avery. I said people could be important, even if they were not around all the time. Colin nodded, but I saw the small push in his eyes. He wanted more. A woman on a nearby bench watched us. She was not rude, but she kept looking. I noticed and felt a small thrill. Let them see, I thought. Let them assume I was a modern mom with healthy friendships. My phone buzzed. Ethan's name showed on the screen. I ignored it. Colin saw the name anyway and smirked. He asked if Ethan was checking on me. I said Ethan was anxious. Colin said Ethan sounded insecure. I said Ethan always needed to feel in control. I said it like I believed it, even though I was the one controlling the scene. When we left the park, Colin asked if we could talk somewhere quiet. I said we could grab coffee. I chose a co-working cafe with outdoor tables. I liked places where people typed on laptops and minded their own business. It felt like a cover. Avery sat with a juice box while I ordered. Colin sat close, but not too close. He asked if Ethan knew anything. I said Ethan suspected. Colin asked if I had told Ethan the truth about the timing. I said timing was complicated. Colin asked if Avery could be his. I told him to stop saying things out loud. Colin said he was not asking for drama. He said he wanted what was his. He said a child should know the real father. I told him to speak softer. I said he did not understand my life. He said I liked my life funded by Ethan. I said that was unfair. He said it was accurate. Avery asked who Colin was. I said Colin was Mommy's friend from a long time ago. Avery asked why Colin looked like Mommy in the eyes. I laughed and said lots of people had similar eyes. Colin looked pleased, like that small comment fed him. My phone buzzed again. Ethan asked where I was. I said I was out with Avery. He asked who else was there. I said no one. He asked why he heard another adult voice in the background. I said it was the cafe staff. He asked if I was lying. I said he was jumping to conclusions. He went quiet. Then he said he would see us at home. His voice sounded flat, like a door closing. Colin watched me end the call and asked if Ethan sounded angry. I said Ethan was always dramatic. Colin said he could step in if Ethan acted up. I told Colin that Ethan would not do anything. I said Ethan was lawful and careful. Colin laughed and said careful men lost women. I did not correct him. At school pickup, Avery ran to the line and held my hand. Colin walked a few steps behind us like he belonged there. I told him to stay back. He said he was just looking. A teacher smiled at Avery and then glanced at Colin. I saw that glance and felt heat in my face. Avery waved at a classmate and said, loud and clear, that the nice man from the park came again. The classmate's parent looked at me, then at Colin, then back at me. I smiled too hard. I said we were just friends. The parent nodded like they understood, but their eyes did not agree. On the drive home, Avery asked if Colin was coming to dinner. I said no. Avery asked if Colin was family. I said family could mean different things. Avery asked if Ethan was family. I said yes, of course. Avery asked why my voice sounded strange. I said I was tired. When we reached the house, Ethan's car was already in the driveway. His trunk was closed, but the car sat pointed toward the street again. I told myself it meant nothing. I told myself he was just sloppy. Inside, Ethan stood by the counter with his hands flat on the surface. He asked where we had been. I said the park. He asked if we met someone. I said no. Avery skipped into the living room and said Colin pushed the swing. Ethan did not shout. He asked who Colin was. I said Colin was an old friend. Ethan asked why an old friend was around our child. I said he was safe. Ethan asked who decided that. I said I did. He asked if I was trying to replace him. I said he was being dramatic again. He asked if Avery could be Colin's child. I said Ethan was disgusting for saying that. He said he was asking because Avery deserved stability. I said Ethan was the one breaking stability with his suspicion. Ethan looked down at his phone. A soft beep came from it, like a recording app stopping. He did not show me the screen. He only said he would talk later, when Avery was asleep, and he wanted the full truth. I crossed my arms and said he would not get it by acting like a judge. He nodded once, and that nod felt like a decision. I told myself the worst part was Ethan's silence. When he used to argue, I could push him into mistakes. I could point at his tone and say he was the problem. Now he spoke less. He moved like a person who had a plan. That scared me, so I tried to pull him back into noise. The next morning at the clinic, I kept checking my phone. Colin had sent a short message saying we needed to talk about Avery and the truth. I hated how he wrote like he had rights. He did not pay school fees. He did not sit up with a sick child. He did not carry the boring parts of life. But I still felt pulled by him, like a bad habit I called love. My manager asked if I could stay late to help with inventory. I said yes right away, even though I did not need to. A late shift was a perfect cover. I also liked telling myself I worked hard. It made me look like a good wife on paper. Around noon, a coworker told me a parent from Avery's school came to the clinic for an appointment. The coworker said the parent asked if I had family changes. I felt heat rise into my face. I said people loved to gossip. My coworker asked what that meant. I said some women had nothing better to do than watch other women. Still, I could not stop thinking about the pickup line. I pictured that parent's eyes on Colin, and my stomach turned. I started to understand something I did not want to admit. I could not control what Avery repeated. A child did not know what was private. A child only knew what was new. After work, I went to the supermarket. I told Ethan I needed groceries, and I said it like a peace offering. I also wanted a receipt, because receipts looked responsible. At the checkout, I paid with the joint card without thinking. The card machine beeped, and the screen flashed the last 4 digits. I saw the amount, then I saw a small alert on my phone. It was a bank notification, and it came fast, like someone was watching the account in real time. I stared at the alert longer than I should have. I told myself it was normal. Then I remembered the pile of mail at home, the sticky notes with bank and household. and Ethan's calm hands sorting everything. I felt a twist of anger. I said he was tracking me. I said he wanted to punish me. I did not say that I had taught him to doubt. When I got home, the house smelled like toner, like someone had used the printer. Ethan was not in the kitchen. Avery was in the living room with crayons. I asked where Ethan was. Avery said he was in the small room. Avery meant the guest room, the one Ethan started sleeping in. I walked down the hall and saw the guest room door half open. Ethan sat at the desk with his laptop open. A plain spreadsheet filled the screen. No title, no bright colors, just rows and columns. Next to the laptop was a folder with tabs, and the tabs were labeled in clean handwriting: utilities, school, medical. It looked like a person building a wall without making noise. Ethan looked up and asked how my day was. I said it was busy. He asked if anyone from school talked to me. I asked why he cared. He said he wanted to know if Avery was safe from adult drama. I laughed and said he was the one creating drama. He did not smile. He asked if Colin contacted me again. I said Colin was not the issue. Ethan said he did not agree. I stepped closer and asked if he was making a file about me. He said he was organizing the household. I asked why the guest room had a lock now. He said he wanted privacy. I said privacy was what cheaters wanted. I said it just to stab him. He looked at me like he had heard that line before. He asked if I wanted to talk when Avery slept. I said there was nothing to talk about if he kept accusing me. At dinner, I tried to act like a normal mother. I asked Avery about school. Avery said the teacher asked about family. I asked what that meant. Avery shrugged and said the teacher smiled too much. Ethan did not interrupt. He listened like a person counting steps. After Avery went to bed, Ethan asked if we could sit at the table. I said I was tired. He asked anyway. I sat, but I leaned back and crossed my arms. I wanted to show I did not fear him. Ethan asked what Colin was to me. I said Colin was an old friend. Ethan asked why an old friend pushed Avery on a swing and walked behind us at pickup. I said he was being kind. Ethan asked why I lied earlier and said no one was there. I said I did not lie. I simplified. He asked how simplifying could be honest. I said honesty was not always safe when someone was controlling. He asked if I understood what it did to Avery to bring new adults in and out. I said Avery was fine. He asked if I understood what it did to him. I said he should not make it about him. He asked if Avery could be Colin's child. I said that was disgusting again. He asked why it was disgusting to ask, but not disgusting to hide things. I said he was twisting words. I said he wanted to ruin my life because he could not handle being questioned. He did something that made me colder. He did not defend himself. He only said he wanted calm structure for Avery, and he wanted honesty. He said he would not argue in front of Avery. He said he would not shout. He said he would not chase me around the house. He said he would do things properly and quietly. I hated that word, properly, because it sounded like I had been childish. I called Naomi after that. I told her Ethan was acting cold and weird. Naomi asked if I wanted her to talk to him. I said yes. Naomi said she could embarrass him and make him back off. I liked that idea. It made me feel protected. The next day, Naomi came over while Ethan was at work. She walked through the house like she owned it. She opened the fridge and shook her head, as if judging Ethan's contribution. When Ethan came home, Naomi asked why he was treating me like a suspect. Ethan said he was not treating me like anything. He was asking for honesty. Naomi said honesty was a weapon men used. Ethan said he did not agree. Naomi asked if he was going to take Avery away. Ethan said he wanted Avery to have a stable routine. Naomi said that sounded like control. Ethan asked Naomi to stop speaking for me. I jumped in and said Naomi was family. Ethan asked if family meant bullying. I said he was sensitive. He looked at me and asked if this public pressure was my plan. I said he imagined things again. He stood there, calm, and I saw his phone screen light up with a simple notification. File uploaded successfully. He turned it off fast, but I saw it. My throat went dry. That night, I lay in bed alone and scrolled old photos. I told myself Ethan would never leave. I told myself he needed me. Then Colin sent another message saying he would not stay quiet forever, and I realized I was not controlling him either. I tried to fix the fear by making Ethan look worse. If people saw him as the bad one, then I could breathe again. I told myself that was protection. I told myself I was fighting for my freedom. I did not say I was fighting for my image. The school called me first. The counselor asked if I could come in for a short meeting. I said yes in a sweet voice. I told myself it was normal, but I already knew why they called. Avery had been talking. Avery did not know which words were dangerous. I arrived early and sat in the small school meeting room. The chairs were too small for adults, and the table had marks from kids' pencils. I saw a poster about safe feelings on the wall and felt angry at it. I did not want feelings. I wanted control. Ethan arrived on time. He did not look tired. He did not look angry. He looked like he slept enough and ate enough, which made me hate him for a second. The counselor asked if we could keep it calm. Ethan said yes. I said yes too, but I said it like I was doing them a favor. The counselor asked about Avery's comments at pickup. I said children copied words. I said Avery was imaginative. The counselor asked who Colin was. I said Colin was a family friend. Ethan looked at the counselor and asked if the school needed a clear pickup list. The counselor said yes, because staff needed safety rules. Ethan nodded like that was easy. I jumped in fast. I said Ethan was being dramatic. I said he wanted to claim Avery as a way to control me. The counselor asked what I meant. I said Ethan questioned me all the time, and it made the home tense. Ethan asked if I could stick to facts. I said his tone was the problem. The counselor asked if there were threats or violence. Ethan said no. I said no, but I added that his coldness felt scary. I watched the counselor's face to see if it worked. Ethan did not defend himself. He said Avery needed stable routines and less adult talk around the child. He asked the counselor how to set a clear plan for pickups and school calls. The counselor said the school preferred one written plan. Ethan said he understood. I felt my stomach drop. A written plan meant my story would not be enough. When we walked out, I tried to bait him. I asked if he felt proud, acting like a saint in front of staff. He asked if we could keep the hallway quiet. I said he cared more about strangers than his wife. He did not respond. He looked at his phone once and silenced it. I saw a thread name on his screen that said, "Follow up." He put the phone away like it was nothing. Outside, I called Naomi and told her Ethan was turning the school against me. Naomi asked if I wanted her to go to the school and set them straight. I said yes, because I wanted noise. Naomi said people respected loud confidence. I agreed, even though part of me knew loud confidence could also look like instability. That evening, I followed Ethan without telling him. I did not feel proud of it, but I told myself I had the right. I said I needed to know what he was doing. I saw him drive to an office tower near downtown. He parked in a public garage and walked into the lobby. He did not look around like he was hiding. He walked like he belonged there. I waited near the lobby cafe, keeping my face turned away. Ethan sat at a small table with a coffee. He opened his laptop, but the screen angle faced away from me. He checked his calendar, and I saw a block that said, "Meeting, personal." I could not see more than that. He took out a plain folder, the kind you could buy anywhere, and slid it into his bag again. I told myself it was probably work. Then I remembered his labels at home and the locked drawer click. My mouth went dry. A woman in business clothes passed by and nodded at Ethan like she knew him. Ethan nodded back. They did not hug. They did not touch. They only spoke quietly. I could not hear the words. I leaned in and caught a few pieces, like schedule, school, and records. That was enough to make my heart race. I left before he saw me. On the drive home, I practiced what I would say. I said I would accuse him of cheating too. I said I would tell everyone he was meeting women. I said I would make him look like the liar. The plan felt good for about 1 minute. Then I remembered how calm he looked, and the plan felt weak. At home, Avery asked for a snack. I gave one without looking. My hands shook as I opened the cabinet. Ethan came in later and greeted Avery in a steady voice. He asked Avery about homework. Avery answered. Then Avery asked Ethan if Colin would come again. Ethan paused. He asked Avery who said that. Avery said Mommy said maybe. Ethan looked at me, but he did not speak in front of Avery. After Avery went to the bathroom, Ethan asked if I understood what I was doing. I said he was acting like a judge again. He asked if I could stop bringing new adults around Avery without agreement. I said I did not need his permission. He asked if I would at least agree to not introduce Avery to anyone else for now. I said he was trying to trap me. I called Talia and told her Ethan was weaponizing the child. Talia said I should post again so people knew the truth. I did it. I wrote a line about co-parenting with someone who wants control. I did not name Ethan, but I knew who would read it. Naomi shared it and added a comment about protecting women. My mother liked the post within minutes. That like felt like a stamp of approval. Ethan did not argue about the post. He did not ask me to delete it. He only started doing small things. He took Avery to school earlier. He packed Avery's lunch. He wrote the teacher's name on a note by the phone. He set an alarm that said paper drop, and it rang while he was in the hallway. He turned it off quickly, but I heard it. Later, I tried one more time to pull him into a fight. I asked if he was planning to leave me broke. He asked what I meant. I said I saw him watching the account alerts. He said he was making sure bills were paid and tracked. I asked if he was building a case. He said he was building structure. I said structure was just a pretty word for punishment. He asked if I wanted punishment or clarity. I said I wanted respect. He said respect needed truth. I said truth was not safe with him. He said he would not shout, he would not threaten, and he would not play games. Then he looked at me in a way I had not seen before. He asked if I was ready to talk like adults. I said he could not force me. He nodded once, calm and clean, and he said he would handle it properly. We met in a public lobby with hard floors and chairs lined like a waiting room. I told myself he only wanted to scare me. I told myself he would blink first, because he always blinked first. Ethan did not come alone. Ruth stood a few steps behind him, holding Avery's small backpack like it was normal. Avery looked at me and asked why we were there. I said it was just paper stuff. Ethan asked Avery to stay near Ruth. Avery agreed and started swinging their legs on the chair. A clerk called Ethan's full name. People turned their heads. I felt heat rise in my face, and I wanted to laugh like it was all a joke. Ethan asked the clerk where to stand. The clerk pointed. Ethan spoke in a low voice and handed over an envelope. I stepped forward and asked what he was doing. He said he was doing it properly, like he already told me. I tried to take the envelope. A court officer told me I could not grab anything from the counter. I said I was the child's mother. The officer said I could speak, but I had to step back. Naomi raised her phone like she wanted proof. The officer told her recording was not allowed. Naomi argued. The officer repeated the rule, calm and flat. The clerk looked at me and asked if I was Calantha Reed. I said yes. The clerk said I was being served notice of a paternity case and a court-ordered DNA process. I said this was cruel. Ethan said it was clarity. The clerk slid a paper across the counter and pointed at lines with dates and instructions. The clerk said temporary child exchange rules started today, and school contact would follow the written plan. I opened my mouth to argue, but the stamp hit the page with a loud sound. Ethan picked up Avery's backpack from Ruth's hand, and the officer told me the next step began now.